Just testing. We're going to start a minute early. Let me welcome you to the March council meeting and ask at this time to stand with me and pledge allegiance to our flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, let me get closer. Okay, members of the council, you have the agenda. We have changed it than what was put out as a draft. But the first item under new business is the request for open containers. You have that agenda in front of you. Okay, are any comments or changes to the agenda? If not, a motion to approve. Okay, motion by Vicky.
Second.
Second by Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no change to the agenda. All right. At this time, we've got two people that have asked to speak to the council. And let me go ahead and call on George Holbert. Welcome.
This working? I don't need that.
All right.
My name's George Hobart, okay? I'm the president of the HOA over at Sage Hill, and I just wanted to make my objection to the sun cap, okay? My objection is based on 1, noise, 2, the amount of traffic, and 3, safety concerns for the development there, okay? Right now, there's nothing in place to keep any of these trucks that are going to be, coming into that new development thing, what is it, distribution center or whatever, keeping them from, just using Airport Road. Anybody that drives a lot finds out that you run into the train traffic, the three-way stop or whatever, is going to cause those truck drivers to go down to exit 27. Once they hit exit 27, they're going to be taking a right. It's an easy right. Come right down past the Sage Hill development and a right-hand turn into their facility down there. One, the safety issues. We have kids, that catch the school bus down there. And if you've been down there, the church that's right next to Sage Hill, there's a little bit of a turn there. You can't see traffic coming from either way. And when you're talking tractor trailers and like that coming through there, you've got an issue. The other thing is they mentioned 3 times that they're going to be, directing their traffic. I think it's like 3 in the afternoon, 10 at night, and 2 or 3 in the morning. That's a lot of noise going right past the development down there. So, again, that's my objection. Thank you.
George, thank you. Thanks for your comments. Don? Long time.
Yeah.
Don Grogan, I'm sorry.
I'm having problems with street names. I've lived on Grogan Street my whole life, basically, and now it's Hillside Avenue. Y'all see, I think you talked with, you city planner, said y'all have nothing to do with that. So I go to sign up for my homestead exemption, 195 Grogan Street. I don't exist. And so I said, who has over, these addresses? We don't. Kirk. I don't know his last name. Kirk, somebody. All right, I call him. Oh, he don't have nothing to do with it either. So where'd I go? Y'all won't do nothing. Tax people won't do nothing. Kirk won't do nothing.
So Grogan Street?
Up to where David lives is Hillside Avenue. Across the road is Grogan Street. And so I was out in the yard the other day. Some guy comes up there hunting Hillside Avenue. He says, "Where's the dad?" I said, "I don't know." And, do y'all change street names? It's a city, it's in the city, it's a city street. Y'all should be able to do that.
Well, we do change names. The council has to. But
There's
I'm
not been a name change on Grogan Street.
My taxes comes to Hillside Avenue. I'm getting taxes from people wanting to buy my property on Hillside Avenue. And so I had some other dealings with a lawyer the other day, which he knows Eric Bell, and he says, it's a city, I'm in the city limits, it's a city street, y'all have the power to name it. Well, who changed it in the first place?
So on the tax digest, it's listed as Hillside.
My taxes comes Hillside Avenue.
Eric, we can look into this, can't we? Yeah,
We can look into it.
we'll try
Y'all
to
take
figure
care
out,
of it.
because it is Grogan Street.
It is
From-
Grogan Street.
from
It's
Di-
never been anything.
From
Well, that's
Dixie-
it.
Dixie
Before you had
Dixie to
streets,
Carter.
it was
Carter
nothing.
Street, yeah.
But, it's, I don't know if the ambulances and stuff, fire trucks, are they gonna have trouble getting there if the streets has changed and so forth. But I've done the legwork so far, and, I'm not getting nowheres.
Okay,
So-
well, we'll take care of that.
When I left Bill's office, he says, "You tell Eric to take care of this now."
Well, let's get,
I take it he knows you did it
I guess the
first.
council needs to do that too. Eric, take care of this. Thank you, David. I said, call you David. Don, it's been a long time since I've seen you. I just see David everywhere.
Yeah, I migrated to Tennessee for 29 years.
Okay.
I was back and forth continuously, but I'm back now.
Well, welcome back.
We'll follow up on that. Chris submitted a change on your street already to the county, so we will follow up on that, but he has already submitted to the county based on your conversation with him the other day. So we'll follow up on that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's move on to Eric, announcements.
We have Chief Prather.
Okay. I got the old agenda, I'm sorry. Chief, welcome back to City Hall. We enjoy your visits every year as a presentation, not as a fire. So,
Yes, sir. Well, thanks for allowing us to come again this evening, present our 2021 annual report. We're gonna have-
You just let him know when you need to change.
Oh, okay. Going to do a little different tonight than I've done in the past. I think everybody knows that, I'm retiring this year. Actually, I'm retiring tomorrow. Let me silence this here to go crazy. And I brought Chief Romson here tonight, who's going to be our next fire chief. So the first half of this, I'm going to cover on the data from last year, and then he's going to cover all of our information on what's going on in the department with our fire stations equipment and all of our planning going on in the future years, and he'll take it about halfway through this. But I'll cover the first part again for the data. And again, thank you for allowing me to come here this evening. This will be my last appearance before you as the county fire chief.
Chief, if you would, it keeps freezing, so if you could talk through on your
Okay.
presentation, everybody has a copy.
All right. We'll go page by page, then I'll call it off as I cover this. On page 1 right there, that's our total call volume for last year. And you see it broke down in between the calls, and we've got the last 3 years volume there, and you'll see in 2019, we ran 27,915. Last year, we finally crossed over the 30,000 mark. 30,169 calls, and that's total calls countywide that we've responded to. I believe that was about a 9% increase, and I will like to draw attention to the EMS calls there. Those are the incidents that increase for us every year. And as we all know, last year was a rough year dealing with COVID, so that probably had some kind of influence on those calls. As we flip over to page 2, so when we always try to better our response times. And right there in the top block on page 2, we're in the process of getting international accreditation, and we've set our benchmark to try to be on scene once we're alerted 5 minutes and 20 seconds. That's our goal, and that's what we're working toward. And it's hard, but we trim minutes as best we can every year. But again, last year was a challenging year. But with the accreditation process, they want us looking at the 90th percentile versus an average. So that number right there, where you see fire on the left side at 10 minutes, and then our average is at 6:22. That 10-minute time is the 90th percentile. For emergency calls, that's our goal, to get that number down to 520. And that's going to take some time. Same thing over on the EMS side of the house right there, you see 1020. Our average response time 637. If you look at averages, we're not missing it too bad, but average is just a little better than 50%. With the accreditation process, we're working toward that 90th percentile. So our department and Chief Robinson is all in on the accreditation and improving, but that's going to remain our benchmark and our goal to get there. Last year with the EMS calls, again, that's most of our calls. These numbers I don't think are a fair reflection. Many times we had 3 and 4 ambulances backed up at the hospital for hours at a time. We had one ambulance that sat at a hospital for nearly 8 hours. So when you got these ambulances backed up and stuck at a hospital, like the ambulance here, this area is open. You get another call up here, we're having to drag an ambulance from another district to come up here to cover. So these times, I don't think they're going to be fair for us for last year because of COVID. There was many days that we ran out of ambulances, and they're all stuck at hospitals because there's no bed for patients. So I just want to put that out there that we had some challenges last year with our ambulances and being stuck at the hospitals. But worst case, we had one nearly 8 hours. The guy stood there with a patient for 8 hours in the emergency room waiting for that patient to be transferred. So I'm hoping we can show better times for this year, next year when they come to do the annual report. But that they are what they are. That's the numbers for last year. Specific to Ball Ground, right there in the bottom of page 2, you'll see the total calls in the city of Ball Ground was 320. We had 7 fire calls, 200 EMS calls, 18 technical rescue, and then 95 other. And you'll notice in that box as well, 61% of our calls are EMS calls. On page 3 right there at the top, we break it down in the calls. We didn't have any structure fires in the city last year, and 7 other fires, which could be brush fires, car fires, anything that wasn't inside of a structure. So that's good. No structure fires. Proud of that. The average response time was 4:38, and on the 90th percentile was 10:42. I have no explanation why the Canton slide is in there, but we'll go to page 4.
Probably
I had 5 of these produced, so my executive assistant's got 5 different versions of this. If you look at the top of page 4, you'll see the comparison to the county over to the city. And this is actually the first report where the city's got a bigger percentage of fire calls than we do in the county. We had 461 fire calls, which was 1% of our calls, and fire calls in the city compared to your overall was 2%. EMS calls is 71% in the county, and then 63% in the city. And then technical rescues 3% in the county and 6% in the city. But overall, again, 320 calls. So, in comparison on the times down at the bottom, 461 total fire to the 7. 38% were structure fires. You had no structure fires in the city. And the average response time was 6:22 and 10 minutes on the 90th percentile. All the other cities that we compared to, the percentages were just identical. So this is the first city that we produced where the numbers are, the city's a little bit more on the percentage based on the total call volume. Page 5. Got things working? Something we're proud of, that first line right there, that first bullet, you see 36 patients with the return of spontaneous circulation. We transported 36 patients last year that had no heartbeat. Layman's terms, they were dead. We had 36 patients that we returned with full circulation and got them to the hospital. very proud of that fact. I think we've got a very aggressive medical director, as well as our ambulance service and our paramedics are just jam up. But we can tell you today that with 36 folks in this county last year, we brought back to life, and we're proud of that. Last year, in our CPR program, which could have been part of this, we purchased 8 Lucas devices to test them in the field before we put them on all of our trucks. And these Lucas devices are mechanically operated devices that takes the place of having to do chest compressions. These things are mechanical, and they do quality compressions that releases the other medic from having to, do the compressions. Very successful. Chief Robinson, I think it's in his part of it. We will be equipping all of our ambulances with those Lucas devices this year. We're out on RFP right now with the Board of Commissions, and I'd say by the end of the year, probably third quarter of this year, we'll have all of our ambulances equipped with those Lucas devices. We placed a mass casualty truck in service last year. This truck's capable of packaging 100 patients at one time. Our ambulances carry, I think, 2 backboards in addition to the stretcher. So if we had a major incident where there were multiple patients injured, an ambulance can only package 3 folks. So we saw the need to go ahead with all the craziness in the world to go ahead and put us a truck in service that we could address a mass casualty incident. So we put that truck in service and we stationed it down at the training center. But we can handle 100 patients with that truck if the incident occurred. That could be anything from a school bus rollover to, the mass shootings. We're glad we got that in service. We try to do paramedic classes it's about an 18-month program. We started the class and we actually graduated them here a few months ago. Something else, biggest part of our business is EMS. Something else we tried last year was ParaPro stretchers. These are stretchers you may have seen on TV or somewhere that's mechanically operated. It's hydraulics with power that raises and lowers the stretcher, where the medics don't have to raise them. And in addition to that, we're also looking at power loading systems for our stretchers that's mounted in these ambulances. That basically, I look at it like a ramp truck. They'll drop down, they'll grab the stretcher and put it up in the truck. While we were looking through this idea, we went back 3 years on back injuries in our department. And I know for 3 years we've got 56 documented cases of back injuries. So we're hoping that this is going to help. I know it ain't all about money, but still it helps bring down workers' comp claims if we can help, our guys in the field with these. So those are again, they worked well, and that's those along with the Lucas devices we plan on purchasing this year. And all of our ambulances will be equipped with the PowerPro stretchers, the power loading systems, as well as those Lucas devices. It's unfortunate that next to last bullet, I never thought back in 1987 when I came to work here, we'd have to put active shooter response kits in all of our apparatus. Statistics across the nation have shown that when you have these shootings in these schools and public areas, people were bleeding to death while medics were waiting for the law enforcement to secure the areas. We took a different look at that in public safety now, to where when we get on these scenes, medics, firefighters are now going in with law enforcement as a team to grab these patients, tourniquet, put the bandages plug the hose, I hate to be that blunt with it, and drag the patients out. And I went through that training 2 years ago, and it's awesome that now that we're going to go in as a team. When the police goes in, we're going in with them, grabbing the patients and getting out. Compared to many years ago, we were staged in a safe area until we got word that this thing was safe. So that's what these kits are. All of our apparatus now are equipped with these active shooter response kits. We also upgraded our SWAT medics with some state-of-the-art body armor. And that was on the EMS side of the house. On the fire side of the house, some improvements we made was we created a incident command training center up at our Clayton Fire Station. And it's a enhanced instant command system to help control scenes better, firefighter safety, results and all. We got that in place, and that's an in-progress project right now. I think we're down to our captain levels, teaching those that instant command system. You may or may not know the 800 megahertz radio system went in service last year. To my knowledge, we've not had any major bugs in that system. On the fire side, it's working great, and we're glad we finally got that in place. We purchased a boat last year for the lake. Our incidents on the lake seem to be increasing a little bit, and we put a tri-tune on the lake last year to replace it was a used pontoon boat we bought 15 years ago or so. So was glad to get that in service. It's on the lake for the water rescues. Put two new engines in service. We partnered with the middle schools to now to help maybe with our recruiting system later on to get kids interested in working in the fire service. And Chief Robinson led that project. Last on the fire achievements, at the bottom of page 5, you see that where it says new propane fire props delivered. If you'll flip to the next page, you see those slides right there. On the left, that's a propane tank with a simulation of being on fire. In the middle, there's the vehicle simulation fire. And on the right there, that's simulating a pit fire, oil fire, gasoline fire, et cetera, et cetera. This is all fuel with propane. So it's a cleaner burning fire, but the guys get to experience the heat and the control of the fire with these props. And project we'd been wanting for several years, and we finally got those at the end of the year, and they are in service now. And I always like to say that vehicle in the middle, that is one ugly vehicle when it's not on fire. I mean, it looks like anything, but it's supposed to simulate a vehicle, and it does what it's supposed to do. Some of our achievements, we did do a reorganization last year because we're growing. When I came to work here, there were 18 firefighters. Today, if all of our positions were filled, we'd have 473 personnel. But I will tell you right now, we're sitting here with 42 vacancies. It's getting hard to find help. But I did a reorganization last year, and I moved away from the fire chief, assistant chief model to the fire chief, deputy chief model, which allow our department to grow in the future. And Chief Robinson, he'll be here in a few minutes. He's been my assistant chief for 10 years and been awesome. And he became a deputy chief along with Shane West. So it's working well, and it provides us room to grow. We got division chiefs now. We've got 3 battalions. The county's broke into 3 battalions. We've got 1 division chief that's in charge of the 3 chiefs of those battalions. So we just got really, really good management now compared to many years ago, and we're running like a well-oiled machine right now. We hired 2 new fire inspectors. We graduated 29 new recruits. We actually graduated 28 here just last Friday night to put into the field. Ballistic vest, again, on the fire side. I never thought I'd have to put a ballistic vest on a fire truck. But all of our fire trucks and our ambulances, and even my vehicle and Chief Robinson's vehicle, are all equipped with ballistic vests now for our protection going out in hostile environments. And we've also got a new air and light truck, service truck that's been ordered. But it, along with those 2 other engines that we've ordered, we don't know where they're at. To be honest, they're in the factory. We just don't know when we're going to get them. Should have been back here in November or October. But we got some new trucks coming. We're always proud to be able to see our people advance. On the 2021 promotions, we promoted 5 people to sergeant, 6 to lieutenant, 2 to captain, 1 promoted to battalion chief, 3 to division chief, and 1 promoted to deputy chief. In that photo there, I didn't put that in there for me to be seen, but on the left right there, that is Miss Sherry Collette. She's our first female chief officer, but promoted in our department on the career side, and very proud. Does an excellent job, and she really holds us together, and she's in charge of our business intelligence. Our profession now is more data-driven than ever, and she's going to head that up. She's really been doing it already. We just made it official for her. But with that said, that ends my portion of this, and I'd like to introduce Chief Eddie Robinson. He's been selected to be the next fire chief of Cherokee County, and he'll take the reins tomorrow, actually, around lunchtime.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for giving me a couple of minutes to address you tonight. It's always an honor to be able to come up north here and talk to the fine folks in Ball Ground. If I could, just allow me an opportunity to say congratulations to our outgoing fire chief. The man's been protecting citizens in Cherokee County for 35 years, 48 years in the fire service total. Former Marine, this man has really paved the path for me to continue to grow and move this fire department forward, and I'm very grateful. So with that, we'll move on, and I'll try to get finished up here. pretty quick. As you're going to see on the slide there that we do have some station replacement and renovation projects that are currently going and will be going into the next few years. Our Station 5 over in Macedonia is a sewer renovation. Station 13 out in the Sutali community, we are completing the land acquisition hopefully by the end of next week, and we'll start construction on that facility as soon as we are able to get that land. Out in the Yellow Creek community, which is a station that actually in a fire situation will be responding as second and third response into the city of Ball Ground. We've started that fire station construction, and we're real excited to get that old station out there on Yellow Creek Road replaced. We're looking for some property in downtown Canton. That's our Station 16. Station 18 up in the Salicoa Valley, we're needing to replace that one. These are stations that were never built to house firefighters. They were built as volunteer departments, and we've limped them along since '99, and it's time to replace those with stations that are similar to the stations that we put here in Ball Ground. And we're real proud of that fire station too, as you guys on the council know. Station 20 is down south. Had a pre-bid today for a renovation of that station, and then Station 32 is out in the Sugar Pike community, and that station is slated for renovation, hopefully be completed by the end of the year. That property search is for a public safety village. That's for our educators to be able to really build a state-of-the-art facility that the schools can bring the kids in as part of our programs that we partner with the schools to teach prevention and education. And we're real excited to be able to push that project through as we go into the next SPLOST program. We have some dollars identified, and we'll have to find some more, but we are excited about the public safety village. We've expanded our training center down in Holly Springs, a couple of additional classroom workspaces and storage, and we hope to be cutting a ribbon soon, as we are sure that there's not going to be any more snow coming our way, which we're looking forward to for Saturday. That station alerting, that project will allow us to be able to get the calls faster from the dispatch center. As the call takers are taking the calls now, they have to gather information, have to determine what stations to send. With this program, as they're putting the address and the call type, fire, EMS, whatever, it automatically opens up every station that needs to be alerted simultaneously so that we can get those trucks out the door quicker. It ramps those alert tones to get louder and louder. Has a countdown timer in the apparatus bay so that our company officers can ensure that those apparatus are getting out of the stations as quick as they can. That pre-incident planning program, we've been doing pre-incident planning, pre-fire planning for years, but we've never really had a method that we could adequately utilize the information that we go out into the businesses and collect. This will allow our guys to be able to log into their computers, on board the apparatus en route to an emergency, and it will tell them everything the information that we've gathered. Occupancy type, exits, where the fire hydrants are, if the building's sprinkled, all that information will be available to those company officers while they're en route to the emergency so that they can begin making their plans on the way. Staffing needs, we have a quality paramedic training program as well as a quality advanced EMT training program. That paramedic program has to be accredited, and in the coming year, we're going to have to do the same thing for our advanced EMT program, and that's going to require us to hire some additional personnel, and we're always evaluating the needs for any additional transport squads. Personnel, we need a total of about 45 positions in addition to the vacancies that we have to be able to be considered fully staffed. We're going to be staffing a new fire station out and off of Highway 20 around where the old Georgia Forestry property was. Our desire is to have at least 3 firefighters on every engine company, 4 firefighters on every aerial device, and we really need to put a 4th battalion in place. With the size of the county, the traffic, and the increased population, to have that additional battalion chief able to get to a call quicker, it will bring us all great benefit. And then that overall accreditation, that's the international accreditation that we're seeking through the Centers for Public Safety Excellence. That really forces this fire department to take a look at our operations and to ensure that we're providing the best service possible. That next slide here, we'll talk about the upcoming SPLOST, and I won't spend a lot of time, but you can see that we have plenty of capital needs to finance, in addition to the funding that we have in the current SPLOST and what have you, additional ladder trucks and fire engines and renovations and replacements and a new fire station, 15 ambulances, for example, and I'll talk just a little bit about cost of that equipment in just a minute. We've got 2 more slides, and this next slide, before we go to it, if I can set it up just a little bit, Chief Prather told you about a return of spontaneous circulation, and we've got a video, hopefully, that it'll play, and I'd like to play that for the council and the citizens. We're super proud of the work that our firefighters do in this community, and this will just be one example to show you that great work.
And he never calls just to say I don't feel good. So I knew something was wrong. So I jumped in my car and I started heading home. And it's about a 25-minute drive from my office to the house. And as I'm talking to him, he told me he was about to pass out. And I said, well, did you get up too fast? And he said, no. He said, I just don't feel right. My jaw hurts. I think you need to call the 911 and have them come out. And he said, okay. He called 911, and within less than 5 minutes, they were at our house. So they took care of him and got him settled in and took him to Kennestone. And when I got to the house, one of the paramedics was still there. They waited for me and said, your husband has had a heart attack. He's on his way to Kennestone. And I said, okay, thank you very much. And so then I left, headed on to the hospital. And then my phone rang. He said, well, it looks like I've had a heart attack. I'm on the way to the hospital. I said, yes. That's what the paramedic said. I said, I'll see you up there. And he said, okay. I said, I love you. And he says, I love you too. And that was the last time I spoke to him for 3.5 weeks. At that point, I didn't know if I would ever talk to him again. So I got to the hospital. He was in the cath lab. They put 2 stents in him. He had blockage. He stayed in the CVICU for 3.5 weeks. He woke up on June 2nd. The paramedics, the firemen, they were there. They were the first step. If it hadn't been for them, he would not be here, because we stayed 1 step ahead. And that first step was the paramedics and the firemen. So we really appreciated everything that they did. The hospitals, awesome, nurses, doctors. We're so thankful for everything that everyone did for him. Brought him back home to me.
And that's truly what the fire department here in Cherokee County is all about. And I get emotional, and I've seen that video a number of times. It was Christmas when that situation took place. And we loaded that gentleman into our ambulance, and we started to the hospital, and he went into cardiac arrest. And he died in the back of our truck. And fortunately, we have the equipment, the technology, and our people have the training that they're able to communicate his cardiac rhythms through 12 leads to the receiving facility. When we showed up at the hospital, we went in through the emergency room doors, but we never stopped at the emergency room. They already had a full team ready in the cath lab. We had already performed CPR and provided shocks, and we actually had a pulse back by the time we got to the hospital. But you see the outcome of the equipment, the training, and everything that goes into it. I'll wrap up tonight by telling you that there are counties and cities very close to us that advertise for employees, and one of the things that they highlight is the fact that they do not transport. Well, we do in Cherokee County, and there's a simple reason that we transport. Those cities and counties around us, they're going after our people. That's the reason that they're promoting their fire departments as a non-transport agency. This is hard work for these guys on these ambulances, but that's where we're making the most impact. And it's just as simple as this next slide will demonstrate, is that Cherokee County, we care. And if you'll hit it one more time, and we transport. If you look at that picture right there, you notice that fire engine. That is $550,000 without the first piece of hose or the first piece of equipment. It's about another $150,000 to outfit it. That vehicle extrication equipment, that's $45,000. That ambulance is $275,000 before we put another $100,000 worth of equipment on it. The gear those guys are wearing is $3,000 a set. And all of that comes together to have outcomes like you guys were able to see in that video. I know we've taken a considerable amount of your time tonight. I appreciate the opportunity. And I'll tell you, as I walk away from the lectern here, that I'm equally as committed as Chief Prather was to continue to carry on the traditions and the professionalism of Cherokee County Fire Department. And I'll see you next year. We'd be happy to take any questions if you had any.
Questions from council?
I don't have any questions, but Chief Prather, you've left a legacy here. Chief Robinson, you have some big shoes to fill. Y'all have done a remarkable job, really have. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
You certainly have. Welcome on board.
Thank you.
As our new chief. And Chief Prather, outstanding job over the years that you've been a big asset to the county and to the city of Ball Ground. I'd like to take this time to ask you to come back up front. I have something to give you on behalf of the city. Chief, you are one of the few people that we are giving a key to the city to for your outstanding service. And I want to thank you again for you've been a good friend to our city. You really have, and we appreciate it. And so we want to give you a key to our city. And also, I have some gift cards for you, and I hope you enjoy your retirement going back to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Y'all turn around and take a picture, please. Oh, pretty cute.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Should have the public safety person here.
Well, the city of Ball Ground's made history with me, so I'll remember this for the rest of my life.
As I said, we have given very few keys to the city, and I'm very proud that we're giving you that.
Thank you.
So,
Can't say enough. Thank you.
all right. But we'll hope to see you soon. And Chief?
Sir, thank you.
Thank you. I've had personally experience with my 90-year-old mother, EMS, and it blew me away how professional they were and how the fixtures they had and the accessories they had just like you said, I mean, I think we're lucky. I think Cherokee County has an outstanding EMS and fire department. So that's my experience. But this time we'll move on to Mr. Eric.
Got our planning retreat Saturday at the Senior Center. And then April 30th will be the Barbecue and Brews Festival downtown from noon to 8.
Council members have received the minutes from our last meeting, February the 10th meeting. Any changes? All right. If not, a motion to approve those minutes. Okay, motion by Chris, second by Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. We don't have any old business, but tonight we'll move right to new business. Eric had just mentioned the festival going on April 30th, and there's a request by our DDA to permit open container on that particular event on April 30th. And any details on that, Eric, you want to share? We've discussed it at work session, but
Be in the park and on the bricks, and we have had some questions, is just to specify it is that day only. This is not a permanent open container. It is April 30th, 12th day.
again, this is something our DDA has requested. Could I have a motion to approve the permit?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Motion by Chris. Second?
I'll second.
Vicky? Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Next item is to consider restructuring the GMEBS defined benefit plan. This is for our employees. At our work session, we got a lot of detail from Eric about when we put this pension plan in place in 2017, it didn't matter if you'd been working for 30 years, you only got 3 years of credit. So we're wanting to now add more to that reserve to allow more years to and improve the retirement benefits for our employees. So Eric, you want to give any more
Anyone
detail on
has any
that?
questions? I mean, it was a buyback of 3 years, but also is a new plan, would increase the funding level of the plan, which is currently at 25.9%, to take the plan to a total of 60% funded. So for a new plan, that's a good funding level.
So the amount is 180,000.
And that would come from reserve funds.
Any questions from council?
And this is a one-time.
This is, yes, sir.
I think it's great. You have to have something to retain good quality people in public safety, and government is really having a difficult time. So I think it's a great step and appreciation to the employees.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, a motion to approve?
I move, we approve it.
Okay, a motion from Dennis,
Second.
second from Lee. Any further comments or discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Next item is consider a request for a site plan review in accordance with the city development code. This is at Roberts Lake Road and adjacent to Farmers Crossing. You going to ask developer to step?
He said he would be here if anyone had any questions. He presented at the work session, I think met on site with some representatives as well. It changes a platted piece from 11 lots to 18 lots. It does a different layout. It is a different owner, and it would be getting this property back in compliance where the previous owner is now deceased.
Was this previously approved?
I don't know.
The 11 lots were
Were
previously
previously
approved with the previous owner who is now deceased.
Okay.
The new owner has the plan now that he presented to y'all to tie it into his development next door.
A tract of land to cover this. It's not on the
Yes.
same tract. Thank you.
Correct, yes, sir.
It's a tract that originally 11, had 11 lots, and this will be 18, but also will have a different entrance connection.
It changes a lot up there.
I think, Chris, you and Chris have met with developer, and, it's going to make, I personally believe it's going to make it much better than a separate development that originally designed,
But access to that property is going to tie into Civic Drive and Groover Street, is that correct? But also Roberts Lake Road, are any improvements going to be made to Roberts Lake? Is that slated for?
We're working on that with, there's another piece to be acquired, but kind of combining the two roads there, making one entrance where you can get two vehicles in and out at the same
Yeah,
time.
because that's
narrow.
Very narrow.
very narrow.
That needs to be done. Okay, could I have a motion to approve this request?
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion from Chris. Second. Dennis. Any further comments or discussion? I might ask, when would this happen? When would that area be developed, actually built? You're going to start early on that, okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. The next item is to consider request from Scott Latham to increase the number of lots in Calvert Heights on Carsville Street. This was a request to go from 33 lots to 39 lots. Scott met with us at the work session. Any comments or questions from the council? Could I have a motion?
I'm going to make a motion to table.
Can I speak for a minute?
At this point,
It's, you got a motion and a table. I
So-
think that it would be inappropriate at this point for him to speak. You can allow him to speak under appearances, but it's up to you. If you have the discretion to allow it or disallow it.
let me ask about the tabling purpose.
What I would like to see, and what we had discussed at the work session, bringing it from 33 to 39 lots, I would like to see a couple of those lots be designated as park area. And I know one of the things that was put out was a dog park area. I would like to see you submit something to us, taking those couple of lots and making a park area for not dogs, but for people, for everybody in the community to enjoy. Maybe like a small pavilion with some picnic tables, a little bit of swings, because they're kind of on the outskirts of town. It gives them, the lots are a little bit on the smaller side in the development, and it would give a little bit bigger green space for kids in the neighborhood to play, whether they want to throw a football or play tag or what have you. But I would like to see a couple of the, maybe even a couple of the smaller lots, designated to a park area on that, and resubmit that into us on what you would be doing for a park area for that development. Not a public park, a park for the community that would be controlled by the HOA.
I think I can clarify some of it if I can.
You can.
What our proposal from the work session was is that we would remove lot 37 and 39. And if you'll look at the plat, 37 and 39 has another open space behind it. So what we expect to have either deeded access to city city folks or just the development itself, we were discussing that with the city council, is about 0.6 of an acre with those three areas, those two lots on the right. We felt like it would not go too deep into the development, so if it was city-owned or city allowed, then, you know, they could come into the development a little bit but not go deep into it. And then again, right behind it is the open space. So we expect that to be about 0.6 of an acre.
I'm not so much into, in my opinion, a city-owned park. But I would like to make it a green space for the community, because like I said, I know because I live on a small lot. I don't have children, but if I did, there wouldn't be a lot of room for them to run and play, or grandkids if they come, you know, to make that green space, like I said, make it aesthetically pleasing with landscaping, you know, in the community. Put maybe like a small pavilion with maybe 3 or 4 picnic tables that if they wanted to have a little gathering there. And I'm not saying, you know, like huge slides or anything, but maybe just like a few swings or something like that. You know, give a little bit more green space to the community for if kids want to play or if families want to have a little outdoor gathering. It gives them an area to go to, you know. I mean, yes, we do have the city parks, but that's a little bit farther off, and it gives them their own little area and to be maintained and controlled by the HOA, not a particular public city park.
Okay. So if we, so I assume that what we're talking about is to get to the 37, we need to put a park. We can go with 33 and have nothing. Was that what we're talking about?
Well, at the work session, you talked about a dog park.
That's correct.
Location.
Yes.
And I think our thinking now is that it probably would be better not to be a public park, but a neighborhood park, similar to, we have other developments.
Sure.
But I think though, until we can go forward on that, I think the purpose for tabling it is to actually bring this up at the work session, next work session, and finalize what the council will agree on.
Understand.
But we can't do that today unless you put forth the dog park. So that's something after thoughts. I think we've believed that it's probably it would be a more beneficial use of the green space to give the community there, since there's no city park on that side of Canton Highway. But if you can bear with that, to consider us tabling it, but then we'll deal with it again at the next work session and hopefully finalize a decision.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We've had a motion and a second. Any other discussion here? All right. All in favor of tabling this particular item?
Aye.
All opposed? Anybody opposed? Okay, good. And I think, again, we'll make sure at our next work session we'll get all agreement on that additional the use of that green space. Okay, next item is consider an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with Cherokee County. All cities in the county use the county for running elections. And so in the past, we've had to, if cities had an election at a time that the county did not, then we had to pay, what was it, $10,000? But the county now has agreed to actually hold elections whether there's a county election or not, and not charge us. Is that correct?
They will not charge us if there is a county election.
Okay.
If there's just a city election, we will still need to pay by the IGA.
but as long as there's a county election, but that particular IGA needs to be modified, amended. Any more details on that?
The only change is it changes the first paragraph to state it is understood between the parties that should a city election be held in conjunction with a county, state, and/or federal election, the city shall not be responsible for any costs of the election.
Which in the past, we did have to pay
Yes.
$10,000. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the IGA amendment?
So moved.
A second.
All right, motion made by Lee, second by Vicky. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Well, that may save us some money. That's good. Okay, the next item on the agenda is consider the Suncap Property Group request for rezoning. At this time, Eric, why don't you give us an update on the requirement under our ordinance for considering the rezoning?
Right, our ordinance does not allow the decision on a zoning action without a recommendation of the Cherokee Municipal Planning Commission. The Planning Commission tabled their decision to make a recommendation. They'll take it up again in April. As such, we cannot act on it until we have a recommendation one way or the other. So we need to table or remove from the agenda this item.
Okay, could we consider tabling it? Get a motion to do so? Motion by Andy, second?
I'll second.
Second by Vicky. Okay, that's, again, that lets us comply with our ordinance that requires us not to act on rezoning until the Planning Commission gives a recommendation. We don't have to we just have to have a decision from the Planning Commission to consider. So all in favor of the motion to table?
Aye.
All opposed? Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous, and we will expect the Planning Commission to actually have their hearing and meeting about this applicant in April. It's usually is it like Monday before we usually meet? Tuesday. So our council meeting in April will be the second Thursday in April, so the Planning Commission will be considering this the second Tuesday in April. So that, we'll just hold off on that till now. Well, that concludes our everything under new business. At this point, let me turn over comments to Eric.
Figure we'll have lots of comments Saturday, so nothing really to say. I will ask for permission from council on one thing. We had talked a couple months ago about a potential land swap with a property owner on Grouper Street, Mr. Brackett, to straighten the property line but get the city ownership of where our storm drain crosses there. The appraisals came in. The properties that would be exchanged are within $1 value of each other. Came in this afternoon. If we have council concurrence, we would like to go ahead and place the required legal notices in the paper that a land swap will be considered and that the appraisals are available for public review, and then it could be acted on at a subsequent council meeting. So if there's a consensus, we'll advertise and put that out there.
Any comments?
No.
Thank you.
Well, as Eric said, we'll be meeting from 8 to 5 on Saturday. So I felt like we probably will be covering a lot of issues we might want to talk about tonight. But I wanted to mention one thing. Last month, I joined Mayor Canton, Mayor Woodstock, met before the Cherokee Association of Realtors. They actually had a mayor's session. And over my time as mayor, I've attended a lot of these types of things that, it's like they'll ask a little bit about ball ground and we'll ask, but then they'll focus on Canton and Woodstock. But in this particular meeting, I was kind of blown away with how probably 150 realtors there. It's a pretty big crowd, and they asked us the same questions, but somebody in the group stood up and asked, how many people here have been to downtown Ball Ground recently? Everybody raised their hand. I have never had it so complimentary about our city and how we're changing. Instead of being now like just one or two questions, we were just as important as the other cities, and got a lot of feedback from people there about how great Ball Ground is, and but I just wanted to share that we've changed. We now are really a place to be. So we'll be working on that on our plans on our retreat, our planning. We're only retreating to the senior center here. We're not leaving Ball Ground, but we call it a retreat. But we'll be considering additional things that will enhance our city residents, enhance our employees, and our community. So I'll shut up now and ask any council members want to say anything at this time.
I'd like to, I would say that
Vicki?
it's good to see a full house again tonight at our council meeting.
I think we need a bigger council room.
Awesome.
When we built this building, we thought we'd never fill this room, but we're wrong. That's good. Lee, anything you want to bring up?
I'm good, thank you.
Chris, anything else?
I just want to know at the retreat, is it just peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or no? Just kidding.
I'm not in charge of the menu.
That's fine, I like
We normally have like a taste of Ball Ground. So we receive things, but now we got a lot more to include. But it will be. I'll comment that the planning retreats have always been very important for us to set our goals with what we all are kind of on board with, that will be for the benefit of the city. And but then because of the health issues, we have not met since. We have not had this since 2019. Last 2 years. Okay. So it was, somebody was sick, and that before COVID. I think it was, we did it 20 or 21. So this is exciting to actually get to do this again, and it's open to the public. It has to be, but it's. I thought I might show off and walk down there from my house. But then it's supposed to be like 20 degrees and snowing.
I was going to say, I'll meet you on the roadway and walk.
So maybe I won't walk or bicycle this time. But at this time, anybody in the audience have any comments or questions while we're here? Okay, well.
Gentlemen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
I actually live in Sage Hill as well. When I heard about the rezoning and all that of that property and what they were thinking about putting there, I'm totally against that as well. And I know a lot of the residents in our neighborhood are as well. There are some here tonight just to show support for that. And I've also seen on Facebook, there's been a lot of people making comments that it's just not the right kind of thing to have so close to a residential area, plus with the traffic and all that it would add. I think it would be more of a burden on the communities than it would be to help anything.
What's your name?
My name's Kyle Wolfel.
Okay, Kyle Wolfer.
Yeah, so I actually used to be on the HOA of Sage Hill years ago, but I'm not on that anymore. But I try to make it to the council meetings as much as possible, but lately I haven't been able to make it just with everything going on. So, but when I heard about that, I really wanted to be here tonight, and I saw y'all tabled it waiting for the decision or the recommendation, but I would just strongly urge the council to please consider, us residents having to deal with that on that side of the highway especially. I just can't fathom 2,000 trucks a day going through that road and going up and down those roads at 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, we got a lot of noise pollution around there already, which we kind of just deal with because it was there before we moved in. But adding anything more to that, especially just the pollution too, I mean, I just can't imagine that area of land just being completely cleared out right next to the church and being turned into a big shipping facility. So it's just taken away so much of the green space we have here. And that's what I love. When I moved to Ball Ground, we came from Dawsonville, which we were in the middle of nowhere. And we came to Ball Ground thinking, well, there's a little bit more here, but we still are in the mountains. And I feel like every year that it's just, they're taking more and more away from what this little town has is so special. So I really wish we could just maybe try not to go into industrial, maybe something different if that land is for sale. But that's just my personal opinion.
Okay, I appreciate your comments. Anybody else? Well, then, we're going to adjourn. If I get a motion to adjourn. Do adjourn. All right, Lee. All right. Again, thanks for attending our meeting.
Excellent.